Hey guys, welcome to the Law Firm Accelerator. Today with me, I have Julius Blattner, an attorney, family law attorney. Hi, Julius. How are you?
I'm well. Hi, Victoria. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks so much for joining us today. Could you introduce yourself?
Sure. Yes. Thank you. I'm Julius Blattner. I'm the owner and managing attorney at the Blattner Family Law Group, and we help people in high conflict divorces to protect their finances and maximize time with their kids.
Okay, so right away, I have a lot of clients in the family law space, but you might be the first person that I've ever heard of who is interested in doing high conflict divorces specifically.
Yes.
Usually people want to deviate away from that and go more towards mediation and all that stuff. Tell me, why did you pick this extremely challenging field of high conflict divorces?
Yes, it's a good question. So you're right. There's a lot of practitioners who prefer collaborative mediation, amicable, uncontested divorces, alternate dispute resolution. And we're not opposed to it, but because there's a lot of attorneys who want to do that type of work, we found that there's a market for people who are in high conflict divorces, who need representation, zealous advocacy, people who are going to give them a voice, stand up for them. And so I've just found that the method that I like to use, my temperament, lends itself better to high conflict divorces. You get a lot of very overly aggressive attorneys who actually make things worse than better, who typically handle the high conflict type divorces. And a lot of times that's why it's so high conflict, is because you've got very litigious attorneys handling those types of cases. So you usually need someone who can kind of bring the temperature down, be a little even keel, level-headed in terms of the approach. And so I found that I really do enjoy doing that type of work because there's a lot of attorneys who don't want to do that type of work, and I find it very rewarding.
That makes perfect sense. And you seem like right away you come off as a very chill person, and I bet you are able to really lower the temperature in the room. By the way, I have to apologize for my pit bull back there. She's trying really hard to get into my bedroom so she can go on the bed. As you can see, the door is closed, but she's making a little Delta. She's making a little
There you go.
cameo here.
Cameo, yeah.
Okay.
That's great.
So that's interesting. I love that you have the right personality for it. Okay. Hi. And you are kind of, it almost sounds like you really work hard on bringing the temperature down in the room. So you focus on family law, and is there any specialization other than high conflict divorces? Or is there anything else you work on? High net worth, child care, child custody, things like that?
So like a sub part of the high conflict divorces, a lot of times the highest conflict are cases involving children. And so, emotionally people are, ramped up. There's a lot of bad feelings and things like that. So I find a lot of the high conflict divorces are over custody. And we do also handle high net worth, asset division, cases like that, alimony cases as well.
Makes sense. So to get back to the marketing portion, who is your ideal client? How do you define that client profile?
So we have our ideal clients. Our ideal client typically, right, it's going to be high conflict. So they're usually going to be they typically are needier clients. And so, because there's always something happening. There's always something happening. It's almost on a daily basis. There's some conflict, something came up, right? And so it requires a lot of responsiveness. And so, one of the things that we're looking for is we're also looking for someone who's willing, an ideal client, someone who's willing to listen, to take advice. And those are the ones that work the best, right? If they're unwilling to take our advice, it's really hard to help them. So ideally, that's our ideal client, someone who's willing to listen, take advice. Typically, they are going to be very responsive. They're going to have things going on, and the communication is going to be good, right? A lot of times, if a client disappears and we can't get a hold of them, that makes it a lot more difficult for us to represent them. So that's our ideal client. The majority of the clients we work with typically are, I would say, mid-40s, professionals, males. And the issues typically they're usually the breadwinners. They're usually the ones that have provided monetarily for the family. They've kind of set aside a nest egg. And they've come to a point where the marriage is falling apart. And because their spouse usually is the homemaker, they're the ones that care for their children, they're concerned about losing time with their children. Mm-hmm. And so really that's what we do. We protect the finances, right? At the end of the day, child support, alimony, the dad, the husband, right? They still need money to live off of. But they also want to have a relationship with their children. So that's one of their biggest concerns is, what am I going to be an every other weekend dad? Am I going to be able to be more involved in raising the children? And then also, am I going to have enough money at the end of the day to be able to support myself and have something to live off?
I love that you have such a well-defined client profile. It's when an attorney comes to me from viewpoint of marketing and they're really not sure who they're trying to market to, it is much harder to do it. It's much harder for me to get you from point A to point B if you are not sure where point B is. But when a client comes to me with this much of a very defined, specific gender, specific age group, specific income level, it just makes things so much easier for us. So great job on that. And I would encourage all of our listeners to do the same. Have a very defined, we talk about this on the show all the time, have a very defined ideal client profile. So now we understand your ideal client profile. And I know for a fact that this is going to be an ideal client profile for many lawyers out there. Who doesn't want the high earner in the 40s? Right. How do you reach these ideal clients using your marketing strategies?
Yeah, so we do a lot of online marketing. And so a lot of people find us online. And we find that online marketing works well with divorces. A lot of times there's people going through tough times. They don't necessarily share with others what they're going through. And so a lot of times they might be doing research on their own late at night or on their own, and they're just trying to figure out what their liability is, what their exposure is if they do go through a divorce, they've had a bad fight or something like that. And one of the things that I feel helps us is our social proof. So we've got reviews online. So if people are looking for an attorney to hire, it's helpful to have some social proof, other clients that we've worked with who've had positive experiences with us. And so one of the things that we do is once we put information out there, we do Google LSA, we do Google ads, we do retargeting. So people who are searching specifically for divorce attorneys in this area will typically see our ads and our reviews and things like that. And so we try to invite them to reach out to us, to schedule a consultation with us. And that's really the majority of the cases that we do get are from online marketing.
Right. So one of the things that I really like to do with social proof when I design a website, and I did notice that that could be an area of improvement for you guys, is to take those reviews and put them throughout the page, not just in one place, not even in two places, but in three or more. Because what happens is people generally don't read. Mm-hmm. And if they do, what they're doing is they're scanning. And if you take a review and put it in a contrasting color, somewhere around middle of the page, lower third of the page, and the upper 1/3 of the page, those kind of pop right out at them. And so adding that as an element to a website could be very, very powerful. And that's something that's totally free to do, right? It doesn't cost you a penny. Right. And something that helps a lot. Another thing that jumps right out at me is you seem like a very chill person, and like you are the face of your company. Right. But when I visit your website, I don't see you immediately. Okay. By having your picture at the top of the website, maybe a picture of your staff as well if you wanted to, or a picture of yourself, however you want to structure your company, that could be very helpful to conversions as well, right? Especially when you mentioned, a lot of times people won't ask friends for references. Right. And so they don't know who they're coming to, right? They have a little bit of a fear, and by giving them a pleasant human face to look at, a lot of times we can psychologically help overcome that fear. It feels better doing that than coming to somebody who's anonymous. So that's something as well to emphasize. So when you talk about digital marketing, there's many different ways to do it, right? You're talking about website, you talk about Google My Business, and you're talking about social media as well. Yes. Now, do you have a specific strategy for your website? What are you doing to try and attract more clients via your website specifically? Yeah, so the website's design, it's problem focused. So the idea is you have a problem that you need help with. And it's really intended to, one, provide information, but two, also to invite people by letting them know, that's what we do is we help people solve the types of problems that they have. So when someone comes to our website, we want them to automatically feel like, I've come to the right place, right? The information here is relevant to me. The problem that they're
talking about is the problem that I have. And so that's one of the things we want to do is we want to invite them to reach out to us, to contact us.
What about so one of the ways to get more people to come, the best way actually, is by publishing content and doing it so often, creating content that other people are searching for and then ranking for those articles. Is that something that you guys focus on? And if so, how often do you publish, and who is your target audience when you're publishing?
Yeah, so our target audience is just a mid to late 40s male, husbands, fathers with professional degrees, high earners. And we publish an article and a video once a month, and then it gets posted onto our website.
So one strategy would be to publish more often. My clients who do best, who have, 400% growth. I had one client who asked me to stop because he couldn't hire people fast enough. They publish a lot. So there's two pieces to that. One, publishing a lot, once a week, twice a week. For my clients, I like to publish four times a month.
Okay.
And also, when you publish, those blog posts should link to the page you're promoting. Because right now, if I look at a blog, let's say on your website, I don't see any links back to the page. So let's say somebody found your blog post, right?
Okay.
And let's say they're ready to move on. There is no easy way for them to go to a page. There is no phone number here. There is no call to action. So what you're doing is you're putting out information, which may or may not rank. But even if it does rank, you're not looking to convert those people. It's almost like you're giving out information, which is great. But if they want to act, that would make it harder for them. And you do have some calls to action, as in like your menu, for instance, is on the page, but you're kind of burying it up. What you want to do is you want to make things really simple for people because, people don't like to read, like I said before. So that would be one thing. And then your second thing, and I love doing this because it's so cheap and it does so many amazing things, is going back, taking an old post, adding a little bit of content to it, adding some social media links and some proof, and republishing it with today's date. And Google loves that stuff. And you're looking like you're constantly creating a ton of new content. The other thing is when you publish a blog post, it's not just about putting the information out there, hoping somebody would find you. It's also about making sure that Google knows that the information is out there, which means social media posts, for instance, a Facebook post to promote that content, a Twitter post to promote that content. Google My Business should feature the post as well. So there is I could see you investing a lot of money here, and there is still a lot of opportunity remaining to do even more with these blogs that you already have and, get Google to see them more. So make sense?
Yeah.
Awesome. So, what about your Google My Business? One thing about your Google My Business listing as I review your website, I don't see the Google My Business listing anywhere in the website. It's not included in here.
Oh, okay.
By doing that, what you're telling Google is, not what you're telling, let me take a step back. You need to explain to Google that you are part of the same entity. And by linking the two together, you are linking it in Google's algorithm. Same thing with your social media, for instance. You want Google to understand that this is your social media that belongs to you. So it should be featured on the website. There's multiple ways to do it. And then even in the Google My Business listing, there's a way now to add your Facebook, your Twitter, your LinkedIn, etc. into the GMB. So you want to be able to have everything sort of linked, and you're creating a big kind of property for Google. Make sense?
Yes. Makes sense.
What about your Google My Business listing? What do you guys do to promote that?
So for Google My Business, I think mostly we just use it as a place to collect reviews. I know that it's on the map, so we have SEO that we do and we track, whether or not we're on the top 3 of the map in the different geographic areas near the office.
Yeah, so I see you are a very good lawyer, and I can tell it because you have brilliant reviews. You have 78 reviews, and that is very, very important to continue to get those reviews. It is actually a big, big part of the algorithm for GMB. GMBs are pretty easy to rank as long as you have good reviews and you have a good website. You're good. I do see that you have an appointment link here to Calendly. The appointment link should be instead to your website, and you can embed Calendly in your website. This way you're sending people to your property rather than sending them away to somebody else's property.
Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah. Okay. So It sounds like you keep it pretty kind of simple in for when it comes to the website and the GMB. Is that right?
Yes, it's relatively simple. Yes.
What about social media? How do you guys work on social media? How do you promote your company?
So we use social media. We use Facebook ads. So I guess it's Facebook, Instagram ads, and I think that's part of the retargeting. Is we offer just content-based ads, so specific to the problems. I think we typically have two or three that we do at the same time, and then whichever one does well, we keep. If the one that doesn't do well, we stop, and then we have a new one that we put out, and that's typically how we do what we do with social media.
Okay, so you're doing what's called A/B split testing. You
Yeah.
basically have multiple versions. Do you get a good ROI on the Facebook ads this way?
So I think my understanding for the Facebook and Instagram ads is, I think it's part more like brand awareness. I think we do that more for brand awareness versus like direct marketing. So we don't really have like a whole lot that comes from it, but I think it's like intended to like maybe draw traffic to our website, to the blogs.
Okay. So brand awareness is generally, and I'm not saying it shouldn't be in your case, but generally that's something that's used by very large companies like Coca-Cola and Adidas and Nike, because, they have such huge marketing budgets. I actually do also use brand awareness, but I use it for a very specific reason because I have a very specific client that I'm targeting, and my client needs to see me multiple times before they even consider me. In general, for attorneys, brand awareness is not something I would pursue unless you're a personal injury attorney and you just really need to be on top of people's minds. But that's also for people who have a really big budget. For Facebook and Instagram ads, if you're doing them for divorce lawyers, a good way to pursue them is actually by starting at the bottom of your funnel. So starting with information. So let's say somebody really is considering divorce. They're not ready to call you yet. They're not ready for a divorce lawyer. But they're not having a good marriage, right? And so they maybe see an article, 5 ways to prepare for a divorce. And then we take that person, and then maybe 3 weeks later, we throw another article at them. What can you expect, when it comes to custody and divorce? And then maybe we throw another article at them. And this one now is a little bit more, 5 things to look for in a divorce lawyer. Or maybe we don't throw an article at them. Maybe we throw a, hey, as a divorce lawyer. And so what we're doing is we're tracking, does that person seem to be going down our funnel? So they start with the very general, and then they just kind of, but you need a really good strategy for it. Just having your name out there is nice if you have an unlimited budget, but you have to be very careful with it, because if you're spending money and you don't know what you're getting back as a small business, either you have to make the decision of, I can spend $500 a month, $1,000 a month, and I know for a fact it is not going to generate me clients, but it may in the long run make them brand aware. But for a divorce lawyer, it's not like you are hoping to convert people a decade from now. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like for me, I'm in business and I'm going to be in business for 5 years and 10 years. So I want lawyers to see me. For you guys, you really want somebody who is kind of at least considering divorce. So I would definitely review that and then see about a more solid marketing strategy for your Facebook ads. And the other thing that I know is I've also if you take a look at the ROI for family law attorneys, Facebook ads aren't great. They are much better for estate lawyers because they have a very long sales cycle and because they're not embarrassed. People are not embarrassed to click on an estate lawyer.
Right.
But for divorce, they can be very iffy. And honestly, for social media, most social media is not great for lawyers. I would say you'll probably have much better ways to spend your money as a divorce lawyer. For instance, on ads, on Google ads. When somebody's like, I want a divorce lawyer now, and then you're right there,
Exactly.
On good blog posts, on boosting your existing content. So you probably have better ROI there. But I would definitely take a look at it and, see if that's a good strategy. Okay. Is there any other social media you guys use to promote yourself?
That's it.
Okay.
So we have a presence, but we don't really do anything actively on.
Got it. And so which of these sources do you think has the best ROI? Which one has the most new clients coming to you that are your ideal clients?
So our best ROI is our SEO. So organic, the traffic we get through organic searches is our best ROI. And then probably our Google LSA is pretty good as well. But I think the SEO that we do is the best.
Are you sure it's the SEO and not your Google My Business listing?
So we kind of pair them together. I think we count them together, the Google My Business and the SEO, because the SEO helps to rank the Google My Business listing on the map. And so at least that's my understanding. So we track them together.
So they should be separate, right? Because
Okay.
Google My Business listing, almost all of it is due to your work in the office. Almost all of it is due to the reviews. About 70% of the Google My Business listing is reviews, and another 20% is proximity to the searcher. Only about 10% is due to any additional marketing work.
Okay. No, I didn't realize that.
So what you want to do is you really want to split those
Or
two,
track them
because if
separately.
yes, you should be tracking
Okay.
them separately. And
Oh,
to
that's good to
folks
know.
out there, if your agency is not tracking them separately, you guys need to call them out on that, because that is not how it's supposed to be. Google My Business listing is very easy to rank with the right lawyer. And the reason why is because if they have amazing reviews, they've done 70% of the work for you. Google My Business Google My Business listing is very much about proximity. So your strength of your listing starts in your office and then goes outward. So the closer you are to the searcher, the better your chance of appearing. And if you have excellent reviews, you will appear almost everywhere. So you should be looking at clicks from Google My Business and then website clicks. And those are going to be very, very different sources for you.
Okay. No, that's good to know.
Yeah. We'll take a look. I'll show you a couple of things later.
So I would, I wouldn't be able to differentiate at this point because we track them separately.
Right.
But between SEO and the Google My Business, that seems to be our highest.
Yeah. So I think GMB is probably very good for you. Well, you're doing really great work. Obviously, keep up the good reviews. It's so much easier when a lawyer is good.
Yeah.
Julius, thank you so much for joining us today. Is there any last words of wisdom?
I would say one of the things that the marketing sometimes changes based on your team. So I have a team. There's 7 of us now, and so one of the things that happens is that the firm, right? It started just I was a solo attorney. It was really my identity, but it's evolved over time. And so now the firm and the service we provide really is the identity is more the firm than it is me. I mean, I set the tone and kind of the choose and select the people that work on the team. But I found that, my style, I have a military background, so my style has been more a very strategic, very, there's a plan, this is the process, very process plan oriented, very matter of fact, very detail oriented and process driven. But I appreciate attorneys who are very empathetic. People going through divorces, custody battles, are going through a really difficult time, and they need someone empathetic. They need someone to make them feel heard, seen, valued. Their opinion matters and things like that. And that has not always been my strength. But I've brought people onto my team who have those strengths, who are empathetic, who are good listeners, who are able to empathize and connect with clients better, which has improved my firm. So it's a little bit of a balance of kind of my process-oriented, strategic values mixed in with the kind of the empathetic aspects that I think is really important in family law work. So when you go on my website, it's very much about being detail-oriented. But since I've built that website, I feel like the firm's evolved to be more empathetic than it is detail-oriented. And so that's one of the things that I'm planning on doing is not necessarily a rebrand, but just maybe updating the language of the firm to better reflect kind of the team and what our values are. But that's one of the things that I've learned as just an entrepreneur, family law attorney, is that the firm really has developed and adopted a lot of the personalities of the team members that represent the clients that we have.
That's a great point. And yes, so businesses do evolve, and your rules will evolve and values will evolve and hopefully become better throughout the years. And it's important that the marketing reflects who you are today, not who you are 3 years ago.
Right.
So I do think there is a lot of value to a website redesign, actually. And I've done it for many of my clients who've been my clients for a while, and we don't even charge for it because it's not a huge redesign, but it's just to update the text and to update the pictures and to kind of give perspective of who you are today. Because in the end, that makes for so much better conversions if we have the most recent everything. And it's very important. A lot of people just construct a website and they will just leave it alone. And it's, an organism can only survive if it's constantly changing. And the same goes for your marketing. Your marketing can only survive if it's constantly changing, adapting to the times, adapting to your law firm as they grow. So that is a great, great tip. Thank you so much, Julius. I appreciate you sharing your words of wisdom. Please stick around and we will finish the upload.
All right. Thank you, Victoria.